Welcome to our beloved sanctuary, as well as our digital sanctuary on Zoom. My name is Nancy Wilbur, and I'm proud to be here today. And Pride yesterday was great. Many thanks to Kevin Murray, who is our audiovisual coordinator today, and to Ruth Kahn, who is our Zoom usher. Those of you who are here in person, we ask that you keep your mask on at all times while indoors. The worship leaders may take off their masks at the mic.
And an amendment that if you're sitting over by the windows, it's mask optional. Apologize for not putting that in the script.
Sorry. Feel free to use the QR codes at either entrance to pull up the order of service on your phone or take one of the large print copies. Anyone can take a copy. People of all ages are welcome to move about in the sanctuary as they need to, or to make themselves comfortable in the cozy zone in front of our first pew. Children's programming for elementary school aged kids will begin today after our time for all ages. And our child care provider, Shannon, is available to be with nursery-aged children in the narthex in the back, or to accompany them to our nursery in the parish hall. As we begin our service today, we acknowledge that our church was built on the ancestral, unceded land of the Massachusetts people. We acknowledge the devastating legacy of settler colonialism and the continuing harm done to indigenous groups in our community and beyond. For me, it seems time that we start taking the steps to work more meaningfully on our relationship to this harm and to the indigenous groups. We invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church or visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. A link to the connection card will be in the chat, as well as our contact information. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out the contact card you'll find in the pews within the bright yellow pamphlet. We'd like to offer those joining us remotely a moment to greet those who are joining here in person. So AV folks, could you please put our sanctuary screen in gallery view so we can see our off-site congregation? And let's give each other a big wave and a hello, and the camera's at the back for those of you in the sanctuary. So after you have a chance to see it in gallery view, wave, please. Hello. Our pianist, Yukiko Takagi, is off this Sunday, so our music director, Michael Johnson, and Reverend Joe will bring us into worship with a song that took social media by storm. We hope each of you will find some comfort to carry with you over the week and some challenge for your thoughts. As always, we wish you health, well-being, and a sense of peace.
I guess I'm just excited to do this one. This is a fun one about being proud of who you are. If I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish shimmering in the sun. Such a rare one, can't believe that you caught one. If I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish, heaviest in the sea. You'd win first prize if you caught me. Why is everybody on the internet so mean? Why is everybody so afraid of what they never seen? If I was scrolling through and I saw me flopping around and singing our song, I'd say, man, they're cute. you would pick me up and say, that's a nice rock, skippiest on the lake. Plop, 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 I'm the perfect shape. If I were a sock, you would put me on and say, that's a nice sock, happiest as a pair. I found you, now I'm not scared. Why is everybody on the internet so mean? Why is everybody so afraid of what they never seen? If I was scrolling through and I saw me flopping around and singing our song, I'd say, man, they're cute and sing along. How lucky are we? Of all the fish in the sea, you get to be you, and I get to be me. Just let him be me. We're as free as can be, to be the youest of you, and the meest of me. If I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish, shimmering in the sun. Such a rare one, can't believe that you caught one.
Good morning and happy Pride. We enter our service and kindle our chalice with these words from Reverend Monica Jacobson Tennyson. What you bring, who you are, enriches us all. We say welcome to your joy, your hope, your pride. We say welcome to your grief, your fear, your anger. And the parts of you that are not yet ready to be seen and heard, welcome to them as well. For we are a people of faith, faith in our expansive welcome, faith in our ability to grow, faith in the precious gift of our truths, faith in the promise of trying, learning, changing, faith in our capacity to know ourselves and each other ever more deeply. Welcome to you who are gay, straight, bi, pan, lesbian, queer, questioning, unable to be contained in any word. Welcome to you who are trans, cis, genderqueer, non-binary, intersex, agender, beyond words. Welcome to you who are human. Welcome to you who love and are loved. Welcome to you who are blessed, which is all of you. May this time together be a blessing.
In that spirit, our opening hymn is one that celebrates all of our identities, the ones that are gentle and the ones that are angry. Holly Nears, we are a gentle, angry people. You'll find it in your hymnals as number 170, but the lyrics will be up here. You might not need the music after about one verse. This was written by Holly Near a while back when Harvey Milk and George Moscone were assassinated. And in 2017, she said, "We originally sang We Are Gay and Lesbian Together, but then we were surrounded by the support of allies, so I changed it to We Are Gay and Straight Together. And now we're learning more and more about gender and sexuality, and now it requires many more syllables than I can fit into the song. So now let's just all sing, we're all in this together." If Holly Near says so, who am I to argue? So I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit, or raise your voices as we sing together. We are a gentle, angry people.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and
young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all in this together. We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. You may be seated. I welcome up our lifespan religious educator, Rose Gologli, to talk to us about how we might uplift our siblings.
So we often talk about Pride as both a party and a protest. It's a time to ground ourselves in the sacredness of every body, every type of love, and to fight for the rights of queer and trans people everywhere. If you're paying attention to the news these days, you know that this is a really dangerous time for LGBTQ people in many parts of this country. In many states, there have been waves of anti-trans legislation in particular, seeking to cut off transgender youth from needed medical care, right to fully participate in school sports, among other attacks on their rights. These legislative efforts have been full of fear-mongering and hateful rhetoric, and they're a part of a larger agenda to control bodies, self-expression, sexuality. For now, thankfully, the political landscape is very different here in this state. And I know that for me anyway, states like Florida, Oklahoma, Texas, many others can feel far away, like they're different worlds fighting different fights than we are here. For me, staying connected to other Unitarian Universalists in those states fighting this type of legislation has been an important way to feel this political moment more personally. And I know that as these attacks get worse, which they're likely to, UU congregations in this country will continue to be safe havens and centers of organizing for queer and trans people in otherwise unsafe places. And that supporting our sibling congregations can be a huge way to contribute to this fight. Along those lines, I want to share with you all a quote from Reverend Elizabeth Mount, who serves as a minister of a UU congregation in Wyoming, which is one of the states that has had some waves of anti-LGBTQ legislation this year. Reverend Elizabeth spoke in a recent webinar about the political role that their congregation is trying to play in this moment, which includes supporting members to lobby and testify in their state legislature, and being a supportive space for queer youth to simply be. And they spoke to what kind of support they're looking for from folks outside of their state. They said they'd love for people to send money, of course, and beyond that, quote, send us chocolate. Send a postcard with a beautiful flower on it. Send a cute rock that a kid can use as a fidget and run their fingers over while they testify in the legislature. Send postcards that say we love you. Don't say things like, "Oh, you poor dears," or "Oh gosh, you're so brave, I could never live in such a hateful state." It's not a hateful state. The land isn't against us. Most of the people aren't against us. We just need to keep having the brave conversations. And we need to know that you're in it with us. We need postcards that say we fight alongside you, that say we refuse to let go of our interdependence. We see you. We resist with you. If you can tell us that and mean it, it would mean everything to us. So taking our cue from Reverend Elizabeth in Cheyenne, Wyoming, we're going to be doing just that together in Children's Chapel today. Any kids here today are welcome to join me over in the parish hall. We're going to be talking a little bit more about this whole landscape of what's going on and writing some of those cards to send to that specific congregation to be that kind of support as they continue this fight. More cards will also be available for adults in coffee hour if you want to write some too. Thank you all. Michael, could you lead us in our children's benediction?
For you shall go out in joy, for you shall go out in joy, and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be.
Beautiful. I hope you have a great time. And yes, we'll have extra cards available first at coffee hour, and then we'll bring them over to the narthex so that on your way out from annual meeting, which is after the service, you can sign them as well. There'll be also some extra ones for a neighbor congregation in JP. You'll hear more about that later. I'm excited for us to sing a new hymn together, for which we have sheet music available. It's the bright yellow one, if you want to be able to follow along with the sheet music. There's some more at either door. I'm sure our ushers can help if you'd like it. The lyrics will be up here if you'd be happy to just follow that. This is a hymn called Days of Rage and Days of Hope, and it was written for Pride Month by Amanda Udis Kessler. She's a hymn writer, songwriter, composer, and writer who specializes in music and lyrics for liberal and progressive spiritual communities. So since it's new to us, Michael will sing verse 1 through first so we can hear how it goes, and then we'll all join in and sing verses 1, 2, and 3 together. I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit, and raise your voices as we sing together. Let's hear it first.
Days of rage and days of hope, days of claiming dignity, in a world that fostered fear, days of daring to be free. So today we offer thanks for the ones who raised a din, challenging a world of hate. 3 nights at the stonewalling.
Sing verse 1 together.
Days of rage and days of hope, days of claiming dignity, in a world that fostered fear, days of daring to be free. So today we offer thanks for the ones who raised the din, challenge dead and living, here and gone. Lives of pride and lives of love, trans and lesbian, bi and gay, bringing blessings to the world, glad that we were born this way. All our days we offer thanks for the people we've become. Stone walls give to every age, making of this world our home.
You all sound beautiful. You may have a seat. I invite you to join me in a time of prayer or personal meditation, first in words, then in some shared silence, then in melody. Our words today are by Jess Reynolds, a prayer for my queer and trans siblings. Here you are, here in this holy space, on ground that is holy because you are here. Here you are in flesh and bone, filling up this body that belongs to you alone. Your pumping heart is a wonder because it keeps you alive. Your loving heart is a blessing because it keeps all of us alive. The spirit of love has a home in you. May we all see that love in you and let our hearts become mirrors for the compassion at your core. The spirit of justice has a home in you. May we light our wicks from one another until we are all aflame, until we burn out every prejudice we carry in these bones. Here you are, holy as you are. Blessed be. We share now in a time of quiet, followed by a musical meditation.
Generosity is a spiritual practice in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are a part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. A word about our offertory today. Mark Miller is a Black, gay, Methodist composer and professor of sacred music at Yale. 10 years ago, in 2013, United Methodist ministers were put on trial within their denomination for officiating at same-sex weddings and stripped of their clergy credentials for disobeying church prohibitions against marrying and ordaining openly gay people. Mark Miller sat down at his piano and wrote the song, "Child of God," affirming that no matter what people or the church may think or say about you, you are a child of God. In our own neighborhood, the First Baptist Church in Jamaica Plain was vandalized this week, spray painted with homophobic graffiti, which we're not going to repeat here, followed by the line, "God does not love you." We offer this song today as a kind of prayer that every person may know that, in the words of the song, there is nothing and no one who can separate you from the truth that you're someone, you are family, you are meant to be a child of God. With that in mind, an offering to sustain this congregation of memory and hope will now be gratefully received. Thank you.
No matter what the church says, decisions, pronouncements on you, you are a child, you are a child of God, and there is nothing, no one who can separate. They can separate you from the truth that
Our reading today is by Reverend Lori Walk, who is a native of the Bible Belt and was raised a Baptist, now preaches and teaches progressive Christianity as one of the ministers at Mayflower Congregational United Church of Christ in Oklahoma City. Gracious God, is it the glitter? Some people think it's the glitter that makes the Pride Parade like heaven. Pearly gates and streets of gold. Surely heaven has as much glitter as a Pride Parade. There's definitely enough glitter there to make a person believe that the Pride Parade is like heaven. Some people, of course, do not think that the Pride Parade is like heaven. After all, who would let all these people in? Surely there's some kind of form to fill out. One must be given clearance and at least abide by the dress code. Speaking of, what is the dress code for heaven? What documentation is required? Of course, this is the strongest argument that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade. All are welcome. We don't get to decide who is in and who is out. Everybody's in. Everybody. Or maybe it's that the kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade because it's a protest against bigotry, against hate, against fear, a protest against being someone you aren't, against the idea that only some of us are worthy, a protest against anything that does not lift up love. That's quite the parable, isn't it? The kingdom of heaven is like the Pride Parade, where all are welcome and love wins. We'll know it by the glitter and the love. Thanks be to God. Amen.
Gosh, I just love hearing Nancy read that. Glitter, feather boas, dancing in the street, rainbow everything. I've had a pretty charmed experience of Pride here in Boston. I don't know that I would have said it was the kingdom of heaven. It's not quite my theology, but I don't disagree. When I moved to Boston in about 2008, I marched in my first Pride with a group that was marching just behind a National Grid utility truck, which had like 3 rainbow streamers on it. I didn't like the exhaust fumes and the view of the back of the truck for the whole parade route, but I did marvel at the fact that big corporations almost had to participate in Pride activities to seem legitimate. At the time, I didn't mind the massive police presence because I saw them as there to protect us from any dangerous or disruptive homophobes who wanted to hurt us. Isn't it something, I thought, that our society has progressed enough that this can just be one big celebration? It was 2008. I do feel differently about the police presence at Pride these days, and the homophobes do seem to have gotten louder. But as a queer, white, younger adult, that experience of Pride as one big affirming celebration was a gift that I inherited from my gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer ancestors, including some of you that are here for this service. And I know it was paid for in blood, sweat, and tears. This year, my Pride outlook overall is maybe 30% glitter and 70% righteous anger. So buckle up, friends. as I've been contemplating what to preach here this year for Pride, my heart just keeps repeating a rallying cry as we see these wave after wave of anti-trans and homophobic bills sweeping state after state. Y'all, it's bad. The Human Rights Campaign has declared a state of emergency for queer people in the United States for the first time, and I didn't know they could do that, as more than 75 anti-LGBTQ bills have been signed into law this year alone, and it's only June. And that more than doubles last year's number, which was previously the worst year on record for this. It's not an accident. As Nancy and I were, this is ad-libbing here, as Nancy and I were talking in the parking lot before the service, we talked about our experiences of being at the Pride Parade this year through downtown and Back Bay, Boston. We both noticed that it felt like this wave of love coming from people of all different ages and backgrounds, with all of us knowing that this was going on, and all of us showing up saying, we are here to surround this with love because we know what's going on, and how powerful that was. So in many ways, this feels like this is a year to take Pride back to its authentic roots, both by courageously proclaiming our authentic identities, and to remember that Pride is not just about freedom, it's about liberation. And that, as trans activist and Stonewall patron Marsha P. Johnson taught, there is no pride for some of us without liberation for all of us. Memes go around social media that reference Catholicism's 7 deadly sins. One of my favorites that I just saw again features, there it is, a rainbow unicorn emerging from flames with rage in its eye saying, "We called off Pride, now it's Gay Wrath Month." I'm feeling it. Whether you're feeling the pride or the wrath, the month of June and its centering of queer identity has its roots in the street protests at the Stonewall Inn in New York City in 1969. Thank you, Kevin. There are many mythologies, many versions of history told about that night at Stonewall. You may have heard your own. We just sang a slight version of that. I'd like to share words that Reverend Otto O'Connor wrote for the 2019 Pride service at his congregation at First Parish in Malden. Reverend Otto is a trans man and a friend of mine from seminary, and he invokes the legacy of Stonewall in a really powerful way that's timely for where we find ourselves right now. And he wrote, "On a holy night in 1969, in an inn, also known as a bar, called the Stonewall Inn, a basement which had no running water nor safe fire exits, queer people of many colors and kinds danced together, for it was the only place where they were allowed to dance, at least permitted to by the mafia who ran the inn. In those days, it was common for the police to frequent this inn, not to join in the dance, this underground celebration, but to send the dancers home and make arrests. When they would arrive, the lights would go on, the people would be lined up, and then all those in drag, all those who were trans, all those without proper identification, they were arrested and taken into custody. But on this holy night, that early morning of June 28th, the people said, 'Not tonight.' As they called to them to line up, the trans women refused to go. And as the police began to beat and arrest them, and as the people spilled out from the bar onto the street, Christopher Street, a crowd grew to watch. And then, as trans women, butch lesbians, and gay men were getting arrested, a yell came from the crowd, 'Gay power!' And as a trans woman was shoved, she shoved back. And the crowd began throwing bottles at the wagon, and suddenly it erupted. For once the people didn't line up. For once the people said, 'No more. we've had enough. It was almost as if that night, being pulled out of the darkness of the underground at Stonewall Inn one too many times, they said, "I'm ready to be seen." On this holy night, when the power of the oppressed rippled through the streets of New York, when queer people said, "No more," our world would never be the same. So now, when our queer and trans siblings are under attack, let's proclaim no more. Let's proclaim we're here with you. We're here in solidarity, and we're here to push back against a legislative agenda that threatens access to gender-affirming care. We're here in support, showing up at drag story hours as joyous counter-protesters, surrounding the hate of neo-Nazi groups with love. And if you want to get in on that, you can reach out to Surge, Showing Up for Racial Justice. You can talk with our administrator, Liz Martin, about that. She's involved. We're here with our resources, donating generously to organizations like the Trans Resistance Network, which helps people get access to care or to move across state lines. You can also donate to First Parish Malden. They're spearheading or fronting a fund that helps the UUA with its organizing to help get our people to safety. We're here with our own hearts and arms wide open, grateful to hear and witness and celebrate each other. And celebrate, because we are called to action, but we are also called to joy. We're called to joy not despite suffering and injustice, but as an embrace and an uplift that carries us through it. The activist and author Adrienne Marie Brown teaches that joy is necessary, that we have to practice the world we're trying to build while we're building it. We've got to have joy along the way. I keep thinking of this scene that I didn't see, but I got to hear about. In Madison, Wisconsin, which is considered one of the most segregated cities in the country, a protest at the state capitol turned into a dance party. This was in June 2020, following the murder of George Floyd by the police, and only a few months into the pandemic. Professor James McMaster of UW-Madison kept hearing that Pride was canceled due to the pandemic, but he said that was just getting it wrong. He said it was instead being celebrated the way it would every year if we actually honored its roots, under the radar and out in the open, with Black and queer trans folks at its center calling the plays. Professor McMaster said, "You should have seen the queers dancing in the streets of Wisconsin. I feel so grateful to have been one of them. Corporate pride could never have achieved this." Let me close out by taking us back to Stonewall. There's one version of the mythology that says that the protesters at Stonewall formed a Rockettes-style kick line while facing police in riot gear. When asked if this was true, historians and people who were at Stonewall that night set the record straight, no pun intended. "No, there was not a kick line at Stonewall," said one historian. "There were many. There were many kick lines at Stonewall. Police with riot gear and nightsticks on one side. Unarmed gay folks doing a kick line with rewritten lyrics to the Howdy Doody theme song." We're called to action, and we are called to joy. My beloveds, Pride is about the freedom to be who we are, to love whom we love. And it is about liberation for all of us, with no one left behind. In this watershed moment, where are you called to action? What is your part to play in this call for liberation? And where are you willing to find joy or to create it, to embrace and uplift us all? With glitter and kick lines for the uprising, I wish you happy Pride. Let's sing about that call to respond with love. Our closing hymn today you'll find in your teal hymnals, number 1014. Answering the Call of Love. You'll see it under its former name standing on the side of love. We've broadened it with the composer's blessings. I invite you to rise in body, rise in spirit, or raise your voices as we sing together, Answering the Call of Love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Beautiful. You may have a seat. And thank you, Michael, for your music leadership today and every day, but especially with Yukiko Ott. It's so great to hear so much of you. I share a few announcements and invitations, ways to stay connected with these beautiful souls here, part of the church community. Immediately following our postlude, which is going to be some rousing Elton John, you don't want to miss it, is a brief coffee hour over in our parish hall, which is just through these doors, either up the stairs or around the driveway for a stair-free access. There'll be some hearty snacks, I'm told, to fill your belly so that you can come back to this room by noon, where we have our annual meeting. Even if you're not technically a member of the congregation, please come on and stick around, get to hear what we've been up to this year and hear what our plans are for the year ahead. Only members can vote on things like the budget, but really, it's a great way to know what we've been up to. So that's at noon. That is on Zoom as well, right at the same link. So those of you on Zoom, you'll have a little chance to have a breakout room or go get some lunch yourself and come right back to your screens for noon. And depending on when our meeting is done, I encourage you to hop on over back to JP. So that First Baptist Church in JP has gotten so much support from the surrounding community in the wake of the graffiti incident. They're having a pride celebration and speak out at 1 o'clock. So we go late even if our meeting goes a little long. They're gonna have public solidarity with the queer community in and around their church, a celebration of queer love and joy. So come out to their front lawn, 1 o'clock, for a speak out against hate, for music and dancing, and for glitter blessings. And if you haven't gotten a glitter blessing, you really want this experience. It's fantastic. And then next Sunday, we close out our church year together with our flower communion service. This is actually special. It's the 100th anniversary of the creation of the flower communion. So what this is everyone is invited to come and bring a flower, or multiple if you want to have for people who weren't able to bring. It can be from the store, it can be from a dandelion outside. Everyone brings a flower, we put them in one vase, and people take home a different flower. It's a 100-year-old ritual that celebrates that we need all kinds of people and that we are blessed by the diversity of people in this congregation. So that'll be really lovely. It'll be my last Sunday in the pulpit with you as your interim minister. So I look forward to celebrating with you all for that. I believe those are all of the announcements. Okay, I was just always worried there's going to be a shout out from the floor when it's something like an annual meeting and I've missed something important. Great. I close with this benediction, which Reverend Kim Crawford Harvey and I shared at our Pride service yesterday at Arlington Street. Here is how we move forward. Keep loving, keep fighting, celebrate story, laugh, dance, sing with your friends, with strangers, with every single person who keeps showing up when the world tells them not to. Resist hatred. Resist cynicism. Know that none of this is foolish. Know that it is necessary. Give love and light to those around you and those around the world. Be excellent to each other. Be good. Always, 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 the weapon we have is love. May you be blessed as you are a blessing. Happy Pride.
Feel free to sing along if you know this one. You can never know what it's like, but like winter freezing just like ice. There's a cold, lonely light that shines from you to wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool would ever win? Well, look at me, I'm a-coming back again. Got a taste of love in a simple way. And you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. Once I never could hope to win, starting down the road, leaving me again. The threats you made were meant to cut me down. My love was just a circus, you'd be a clown by now. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. No, I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind, I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Joanna, good to see you. Oh, I'm just, yeah, it was a great job. It was marvelous.